Hello Retro NHL fans, this is Smazoma. You're looking at a bad bug in NHL 95 on the Sega Genesis. When a team gets more than 127 points, they get sorted to the bottom of the standings and miss the playoffs. Back when the game came out, you might have spent months playing the game and not knowing about this bug, recording a dominant season, and then suddenly being crushed to find out your season is ruined because you missed the playoffs, despite earning 130 points. Well, now you can play a dominant season and make the playoffs. 29 years later, this bug has finally been fixed. This video has a quick overview of the bug and its fix, and then the information you really want, which is how to get the fixed version of the game. I'll release another video later that shows how I tracked down and fixed the bug in more detail, so you can see the process of finding and fixing a bug in a Sega Genesis game. As for the Super Nintendo version, I don't know if that version has the bug or not. If it does, let me know and I can try to fix it. I was able to track down the bug in the code trace of the game, and as I always suspected, the bug was that when the game sorted the standings, the programmer accidentally used a CPU instruction that treats the points as a signed 8-bit integer instead of unsigned. The points are stored as an 8-bit number, and 8 bits can store 2 to the power of 8 different values, which is 256 different values, which is more than enough to hold a team's points total. But when a CPU treats an 8-bit number as signed, the range of values that can be stored is negative 128 to positive 127. When a number exceeds positive 127, it wraps around into the negatives. The game's standings display uses unsigned interpretation, so you see the value of plus 128 points, but internally, when it sorts the standings, the code sees it as a negative number, because 127 is the highest possible number a signed 8-bit number can hold. To create a fix for the game, I open up the game file in a hex editor, locate the incorrect instructions, and then using the manual for the CPU, change the binary data. So for branch greater than, the original was 6E, and I changed that to branch high, which is 6.2. And then for the BLT, it changes from 6D into BLO 6.5. And then this code is repeated again later in the game, so we make the same change again. And then save that and share it. So that's the fix, but more importantly, how do you get the fix? Go to this thread on the NHL94.com forums, the link is in the video description, and there are 3 different ways. You can download a copy of the ROM with the fix included, you can download an IPS patch to apply the ROM manually, or you can use Game Genie codes. If you don't know what a ROM is, it's a file containing a copy of the cartridge data that you can play in emulator software on your computer, phone, or retro gaming device. You can also put the ROM on an EverDrive cartridge and play on a real console. If you want to get started with an emulator on your PC or Mac, follow this link to download the NHL94online.com version of the RetroArch emulator, which is set up to enable you to play against other people online too. Then you download the ROM file and save it to the ROMs folder of RetroArch. The instructions will show you how to run the game. You can even join an NHL 95 league by going to this Discord chat server. If you're interested in the IPS patch, I assume you know what you're doing already. You can get the IPS patch in the same place as the ROM. If you're a purist and want to play on all original hardware using a Game Genie, here are the codes. You only really need to enter the codes right before starting the playoffs in order for your team to make the playoffs, in particular the first 3 codes. The last 2 codes aren't necessary, but they fix the standings display. You might want to enter them just to get visual confirmation that the codes were applied. Something I didn't verify is whether the game does the sorting again between playoff rounds to decide who gets home ice advantage. So if you shut down and restart the game to play on a later day, you might want to re-enter these codes before any series deciding games. So there it is, after 29 years, the NHL 95 playoff bug has been fixed. Before I end this, I'd like to share this interview with the programmer and producer of NHL 95 where they recount finding out about the bug.